Welcome to the nightclub, guys. It's your host, Night Rancher. Now, I was playing on Craigslist yesterday, and I happened to come across this Demon Carburetor. I wasn't specifically looking to buy a Demon Carburetor. I was really just like wondering what was on the market, and I looked up HOLLEY, and this carburetor came up. I had actually seen this carburetor back in probably last month. It was like $200 and something, and then I saw it again for a little bit cheaper, but I still wasn't interested. And then I saw it yesterday for $140. When I went to go see the guy asked me, or actually I asked him if he'll take the $140 that's listed. And he's like, I thought it said $190, but I guess I changed it to $140. So he actually dropped it another time. So I guess nobody really wants these, but I think the reason nobody wants these is because these are the older style Demon carburetors. You can kind of tell by the logo and the fact that there's no kind of stamping or model number. The only indication of what this might or might not be is here on the tower. It has a number 6, which can either be, I believe, like a 525 or a 625, and then it just depends on the jetting. That'll tell you what the CFM is if nobody's messed with it. So I won't actually know for sure because there aren't any numbers on this. So basically, the difference between this one and the newer style is that this is called, this was made by Barry Grant before HOLLEY bought it out, and the newer HOLLEYs or the newer Demons are very similar to the newer HOLLEYs, in the sense that everything is fits one way to the other, etc. So on these older ones, it's similar, but it's not the same. So these little inconveniences are what makes the difference. And turns people away from buying the older Demons. If you look it up online, some people will just say that the old Demons are more like paperweights than anything else. One dead giveaway that this is an older Demon is the way the sight glasses are set up. These are screw-in sight glasses, whereas I got another of the newer style right here. This is the newer style, vacuum secondary as well. This is a C-clip style sight glass. As you can see, everything else seems to be about the same in terms of casting. But I'm going to go ahead and pop everything off and take a look inside. Normally I would probably just run it the way it is, but I was just playing around with these with the screws, and all of them seem pretty tight except for this one. So I might as well, if I'm going to mess with it, I might as well just go ahead and tear it down. Give it a once over, make sure everything's good, and then I'll report back to you guys after it's all done. Alright, so I've got it all apart now. It basically looks just like a normal HOLLEY. I don't see too many differences. Except for, the fact that the base plate's a lot thicker, casting's a lot heavier, things like that. I do notice that the holes for the bleeds, they're significantly thicker than one on a traditional regular HOLLEY, although not by much. It'll definitely help if I ever decide to drill out and install bleeds, different size bleeds in there. Okay, so the Demon's all back together. So far right now, I was able to get a set of 65s in the front, 65s in the back. I went ahead and changed the squirter. I couldn't find anything bigger than a 31 in my collection, so I put I replaced it with another 31, but with the extended nozzle tips. I went ahead, I left the secondary pot alone. I'm sure it's fine. I'm not going to touch the choke until I switch it over to a manual. I went ahead and adjusted the transition. Made sure I got a little square. This thing was way out. The secondary side looks like it was untouched. So I went ahead and set that. I've got to adjust the lash on the accelerator pump. But I did replace pretty much every gasket, the base plate gasket, the two or basically four metering block gaskets. I didn't bother to change the float. I'm just gonna hope they're fine. We're gonna find out after I throw it onto the engine and turn the key on. This is the main thing that I wanted to get fixed. I went ahead and replaced the seals for the idle mixture adjustment. And that's pretty much it. I didn't measure anything else. I did blow all the passages, make sure everything was fine, and everything is pretty good to go. I'm just going to adjust this lever, and I'm going to slap it onto my LS, and then we're going to see how well it runs. Alright, so it's all back together, so I'm going to go ahead and start building fuel pressure and see if I get any leaks. Alright, I got 3 psi, 4 psi. Let's see if I start seeing any dribbles out of the bowls. Let's see. I see that the floats are sitting a little high, are both the front and the back. So I'm going to try to have this running and see if it makes a difference. Alright, well, my first attempt to get this thing running absolutely failed. It wouldn't stay idling for any reason at all. I'm going to have to take it apart again. I think the problem lies in the primary circuit, mainly in the idle transition. I did check for, after I got it running, I had to turn in the accelerator screw, the accelerator adjustment all the way in to get the RPMs up. I got it up to around 2500, and that's the only way it was able to run, but it was running super lean. I went ahead and I checked all the way around for vacuum leaks. I didn't find any. I went ahead and closed off the secondaries with my hand, no change. I started to close off half of the primaries with my hand, and a big change. So what I'm guessing is happening, I'm guessing we're not getting any flow through either the transition or the idle circuit. So I'm going to have to take this whole thing apart again and make sure everything is being bled and sucked in through properly. I did make sure that the entire squirter system was working properly, and I did hit it and fuel started to come out, and I went slowly and fuel dribbled out, so all of that's working fine. Originally the floats were set way too high and passing fuel directly to the boosters, and it was leaking out the front. After I went ahead and I dropped the level down, and I dropped down the level of the rear nut was also leaking, so I went ahead and lowered it, tightened that down, lowered it, tightened it down. Now I have no leaks and the levels are fine, and it's not leaking through the boosters. So now the next problem is to figure out why the idle circuit is running lean, because it seems to be only with the idle circuit, because when I rev it up, it doesn't seem to give me any kind of problem. So it's going to be somewhere in the idle circuit, and I'm just gonna have to tear it apart and figure it out, but that'll be something else for the next time. I hope this helps somebody when they're buying a used carburetor. Maybe if you don't want to get too involved, you're going to want to get something a little bit more new. So that'll be it for now. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Night Wrencher out.